Have you ever felt like love keeps slipping through your fingers? Like no matter how much you pray, wait, and hope, the right person never seems to come. This is your confirmation. The love you have been waiting for is finally on its way. You didn't find this message by accident. God is speaking to you right now. Every heartbreak, every lonely night, every tear you shed, it was never in vain. The waiting season is over, and divine alignment is happening. But here's the real question. Are you truly ready to receive this love? Many people pray for love, but when it arrives, they fail to recognize it. They let their past wounds, fears, and doubts block what God is trying to give them. Today, I'm going to reveal how to know if your heart is prepared, the clear signs that love is finally aligning in your life, and why this time will be different. If you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. Don't miss what God has for you. Stay with me until the end, because by the time we finish, you'll see exactly how God has been preparing you for a love that will transform your life. Are you truly ready to receive it? The love you have been longing for, the one you have prayed for in tears, the one you almost gave up on, is finally on its way. But here's the real question. Are you ready to receive it? Many think that love is merely about finding the right person, but the truth is deeper than that. Love is about becoming the right person to receive what God has ordained for you. The Bible tells us in Proverbs 4:23, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." If your heart is cluttered with past wounds, fear, and doubt, how can you embrace the blessing He is sending your way? Being ready for love means allowing Jesus Christ to shape you into the person who can nurture it, protect it, and grow with it. Preparation is key. Consider the story of Ruth. Before she met Boaz, she was working in the fields, faithful in the little things, devoted to her purpose, and positioned where God needed her to be. She wasn't chasing love, she was becoming the woman who would recognize the blessing when it arrived. Too many people miss their blessing because they expect it to fit their idea of love instead of aligning with God's divine plan. If you're still holding on to past disappointments, comparing every new person to old heartbreaks, or questioning whether you are worthy, you may not yet be prepared for what is coming. God doesn't give unprepared hearts His greatest blessings. Spiritual readiness isn't just about patience, it's about trust. Are you trusting God's timing, or are you trying to force your own? Isaiah 40:31 reminds us, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." The faith to wait is just as important as the faith to act. Trust is built in the waiting season, where God refines you, strips away what no longer serves you, and molds you into someone who will not only attract the right love, but also sustain it. Love isn't about momentary passion. It's about longevity, about mirroring the love that Christ has for His people, patient, sacrificial, enduring. Ask yourself, are you preparing yourself the way God is preparing your future partner? The love that is coming will require emotional, spiritual, and even mental readiness. It's not about completing you, it's about aligning with you. If you are still seeking validation from people, if you are still afraid to be alone, or if your confidence is based on whether or not someone desires you, then you may not be truly prepared for the love that God wants to give you. He doesn't want you to idolize love. He wants you to be anchored in Him so that love is a complement, not a necessity for survival. This love won't just show up. It will require recognition, discernment, and action. The signs are there, but if your heart isn't in the right place, you might overlook them. So take a moment and reflect. Is your heart positioned for what God has promised? Because when love arrives, it won't feel forced, confusing, or chaotic. It will align. It will feel like peace, not performance. And that's how you'll know. It was sent by God, not the world. Your pain was preparing you for this love. every tear you cried, every moment of loneliness, every heartbreak you endured, none of it was in vain. God was not punishing you. He was preparing you. He was refining you, molding you, and strengthening you so that when the right love arrived, you would be ready to receive it fully. Often people see pain as a sign of abandonment, as if God has forgotten them. But Romans 8:28 reminds us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." Your past heartbreaks were not rejections. They were redirections. The love that left, the relationships that failed, the people who hurt you, they were all part of the process to bring you to something greater, something divine. Think of Joseph in the Bible, betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, imprisoned unjustly. He could have easily believed that God had abandoned him. But each painful chapter was a stepping stone to something greater. When he finally reached his destiny, he looked back and saw how every hardship was leading him to his purpose. The same is true for your love life. Every wrong relationship removed something from you that was never meant to stay. Insecurities, dependence on others for happiness, or even the belief that you had to settle for less than what God has for you. Your pain wasn't wasted. It was shaping you into someone who would recognize and cherish real love when it arrived. Pain is a powerful teacher. It shows us where we placed our trust, what we need to heal, and how strong we truly are. When a relationship ends, it's easy to ask, "Why did this happen to me?" But a better question is, what is God teaching me through this? Perhaps He wanted to show you that love is not about control, but about freedom. Maybe He needed you to understand that your worth is not tied to another person but rooted in Him. Or maybe He was protecting you from something you couldn't yet see. Jeremiah 29:11 declares, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." If God allowed a door to close, it was because He had something better waiting on the other side. The pain you went through gave you wisdom. It taught you what love should and shouldn't be. Now, when the love that is meant for you arrives, you will no longer settle for the superficial. You will no longer beg for attention, tolerate disrespect, or accept inconsistency. Because you know your value in Christ, you will recognize a love that reflects His heart. This love will not demand that you shrink. It will inspire you to grow. It will not make you anxious. It will bring peace. It will not leave you questioning. It will affirm everything God has spoken over your life. So don't resent your past. Don't curse the lonely nights, the prayers that seemed unanswered, or the relationships that fell apart. They were never meant to be your final destination. They were your preparation. God had to empty your hands so He could fill them with something greater. He had to teach you endurance, faith, and discernment, so that when the real thing came along, you wouldn't miss it. Now, the waiting season is over. The refining process is complete, and the love you have prayed for is ready to enter your life, not as a replacement for what you lost, but as the fulfillment of what God has promised. Recognizing the signs of alignment. When love is divinely orchestrated, it doesn't arrive in chaos, it arrives in clarity. But how can you tell if the love you've been waiting for is truly near? God always gives signs before He moves. He prepares the heart, aligns circumstances, and reveals His will in ways that are undeniable to those who are spiritually awake. One of the first signs that love is close is an inner sense of peace. This isn't the fleeting excitement of infatuation or the anxiety of uncertainty. It is a deep knowing, a calm assurance in your soul that tells you, something is shifting, something is coming. Just like Elijah heard a still small voice, 1 Kings 19:12, rather than a loud dramatic sign, sometimes God's confirmation comes in quiet moments. A feeling of readiness, a divine nudge, a newfound confidence in His plan. Another powerful sign of divine alignment is the presence of synchronicities. Have you noticed repeating numbers, like 3:16, reminding you of John 3:16, a reminder of God's love? Have you been seeing the same Bible verses pop up repeatedly? Has your heart been drawn to certain scriptures about love, marriage, or preparation? These aren't coincidences. God speaks through patterns. Just as he sent dreams to Joseph, Genesis 37:5-10, to foreshadow his destiny, he often whispers to us through the repetition of key messages. Pay attention. If you keep encountering teachings about divine love, if your spirit keeps getting nudged toward faith in his timing, then it is not by accident. It is God reinforcing a truth you need to embrace. There's also a shift in your mindset and emotional healing. When the right love is near, you find yourself letting go of past wounds effortlessly. It no longer hurts the way it used to. The person who broke you no longer has power over your emotions. You start to see past relationships not as failures, but as lessons that shaped you into who you were meant to be. Isaiah 43:18-19 commands, "Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing." If you feel a newfound ability to release old baggage, to forgive without bitterness, and to embrace the future with hope instead of fear, it's because God is making space in your heart for what's coming next. Have you also noticed that you've outgrown certain habits, friendships, or environments? When God is aligning you with love, he often removes distractions, purges unhealthy connections, and elevates you into a new season. Maybe the friendships that once made sense now feel out of place. Maybe the places you used to frequent no longer bring you peace. When God is aligning you for love, he will also align your surroundings. This is why many people feel a sudden need to relocate, start fresh, or step into a deeper relationship with God right before they meet the person he has ordained for them. This is not an accident. Your environment is shifting because your destiny is shifting. Finally, the biggest sign that love is near is your faith itself. If you've reached a place where you no longer question if God will send you love, but instead trust that it's already happening, then you are truly aligned. Mark 11:24 declares, "Whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." Faith is the bridge between your current season and your next one. When you stop doubting, stop fearing, and start walking as if the promise is already fulfilled, that's when miracles happen. And now, your heart is shifting, your spirit is awakening, and your eyes are opening. Love is closer than you think. The love destined for you will be different. This time, love won't look like what you've experienced before. It won't leave you feeling uncertain, second-guessing your worth, or wondering if you are enough. When God writes your love story, it comes with peace, not confusion. The Bible tells us in 1 Corinthians 14:33, "For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace." That means love ordained by God will not be rooted in instability, emotional exhaustion, or endless questioning. It won't require you to chase, beg, or compromise your identity in Christ just to be accepted. Instead, it will come as a confirmation of everything he has been preparing you for. This love will honor you, protect you, and push you closer to God, not away from him. The love that is coming is not a repeat of past disappointments. You will notice a key difference. It will feel like home, like something familiar yet new. Ruth and Boaz's story, Ruth 2-4, is a perfect example of this. Ruth had experienced loss, hardship, and uncertainty. But when the right person came into her life, he saw her worth before she even saw it in herself. Boaz didn't play games. He wasn't inconsistent. He didn't make her question where she stood in his life. Instead, he provided, protected, and pursued her with purpose. This is how God-ordained love operates. It reflects the heart of Christ. When love comes from God, it is intentional, steady, and aligned with His purpose for your life. Unlike past relationships, this love will not force you to shrink yourself just to fit into someone else's expectations. You will no longer have to suppress your faith, hide your dreams, or silence your voice to keep someone interested. The right person will celebrate your growth, not be intimidated by it. The Bible reminds us in Ecclesiastes 4:9-10, "Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up." A relationship sent by God is one where both people lift each other up, support each other's callings, and create a foundation, rooted in love, not fear. The love that is coming won't require you to prove your worth. Have you ever been in a relationship where you felt like you had to constantly earn someone's affection, attention, or loyalty? That was never love. That was a test of endurance. God is not sending you a love that will feel like an emotional battle. Instead, it will feel like a divine partnership, where both of you recognize the blessing in each other and choose to love daily, not just in moments of convenience. Ephesians 5:25 describes the love that a man should have for his wife. "Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her." This love will be sacrificial, intentional, and Christ-centered. And most importantly, this love will align with your purpose. It won't distract you from God. It will push you closer to Him. You won't have to wonder if this is the right person, because everything about this relationship will bring clarity, not confusion. It will feel like a missing piece of your purpose falling into place. This person will understand the calling over your life and support you in fulfilling it. If your relationship doesn't align with your spiritual growth, it's not the one God has for you. The love destined for you will reflect the love of Jesus, pure, intentional, and transformative. Trusting the right timing. Everything that has happened in your life, every delay, every heartbreak, every moment of waiting, was not a mistake. God has been orchestrating everything in divine timing, not human timing. Often, people grow weary in the waiting season, wondering if God has forgotten them. But the truth is, His delays are not denials, they are preparations. Ecclesiastes 3:11 reminds us, He has made everything beautiful in its time. When love is part of God's plan, it will arrive at the moment it is meant to, not a second too early, not a second too late. Just as you were being prepared, so was the person God has for you. Many people think they are waiting alone, but the one God has destined for you has also been on their own journey of growth, healing, and transformation. Just as God was working in your heart, He was working in theirs. Think of Esther. Before she became queen, she had to go through a season of preparation, Esther 2:12. She wasn't simply waiting, she was being refined, strengthened, and positioned for what was to come. Your story is no different. The time apart from your person was not wasted. It was a divine setup to make sure you are both ready for the love that will last. So many people try to rush God's process, settling for relationships that were never meant for them simply because they are afraid of being alone. But settling outside of God's timing is dangerous. Ishmael was born because Abraham and Sarah tried to rush God's promise, Genesis 16. But the true promise, Isaac, came in God's perfect time. The same applies to your love story. If you try to force something before its time, you will carry unnecessary burdens. But if you wait on God, He will bring you a love that is effortless, aligned, and filled with His favor. The waiting season is not punishment, it's protection. One of the greatest tests of faith is trusting God when you don't understand the timeline. Maybe you thought love should have arrived by now. Maybe you see others around you stepping into their relationships and you wonder, when will it be my turn? But God does not operate on comparisons. Isaiah 60:22 declares, "When the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen." You are not behind schedule. You are right where He needs you to be. The moment you surrender your timeline and trust in His divine orchestration, you will experience the peace that surpasses all understanding. Philippians 4:7. Now, the energy is shifting. The alignment is happening. The waiting season is coming to an end. Love is no longer something distant. It is stepping into your life right now. What's ahead is not just an ordinary relationship. It is the love that God has prepared for you. All you have to do now is trust Him. Stay open and be ready to receive it. The love you have been praying for is no longer just a hope. It is a reality that is unfolding in God's perfect timing. Every heartbreak, every delay, every lesson was leading you to this moment. You are not forgotten. You are not unseen. You are chosen. And now, the love that aligns with your faith, your purpose, and your heart is stepping into your life. This is your confirmation. But now, I want to hear from you. Have you seen any of these signs in your life? Do you feel that shift in your spirit? Tell me in the comments what part of this message spoke to you the most. Your testimony could be the encouragement someone else needs. If this message blessed you, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the powerful revelations that are coming next. And make sure to share this video with someone who needs to hear this today. And before you go, there's something else you need to know. There's one more revelation about love that will change the way you see relationships forever. Click on the next video right now to discover it. I'm Joseph, and I'll see you there. God bless you.